So Jen, are you ready to go in just a few minutes?
Yep.
Just waiting for it to hit 7.
And do you say ready, set, go or something?
I'll do this.
Oh, okay.
Okay, it's 7 o'clock.
Okay. Welcome everybody to the May 5th Planning Commission. It's nice to see everyone after our long absence. Before we get started, we have some housekeeping items to take care of. I'll turn the meeting over to our recording secretary, Jen Chavez, to get us started.
Hi there, welcome everyone, and thanks for joining us tonight. Prior to our roll call, the city attorney is going to make an announcement to the Planning Commission regarding the teleconferencing of this meeting. And I'll go ahead and turn it over to Assistant City Attorney Alicia Poon.
Thank you, Jen. Good evening. Prior to roll call, I would like to make clear for the record of this meeting, it should be reflected in the minutes, that the governor has issued 2 executive orders relaxing the requirements pertaining to remote meetings under the Brown Act. To facilitate social distancing and to slow the spread of the coronavirus pandemic, the executive orders authorize state and local legislative bodies, including this commission, to hold public meetings by teleconference more easily. The order took further steps to make public meetings accessible to the public via electronic means, including telephone. Specifically, the order makes the following changes to the Brown Act requirements as they pertain to this meeting. Commission members are no longer required to be physically present in a meeting in order to participate or to establish a quorum. No physical meeting place must be established. The presence of a clerk or city personnel at any physical location is no longer required. Brown Act provisions requiring the public noticing of the teleconferencing location of each meeting participant is suspended. The agency must provide a means for the public to observe the meeting and provide the public an opportunity to comment electronically or telephonically. The opportunities for public observation and participation must be and have been included in the meeting notice. The city is also required to establish a process for receiving and resolving any requests for reasonable accommodation to allow accessibility to persons with disabilities. Under the executive orders, these provisions will remain in effect during the period in which the state or local public health officials have imposed or recommended social distancing measures. The orders require public agencies to use sound discretion in applying these provisions, and I am confident that this meeting meets or exceeds the standard. Madam Secretary, it would now be appropriate for you to conduct roll call, after which I would ask the chair to recognize me in order to confirm certain matters for the record. Thank you.
All right. Item 2, roll call. Commissioner Frank?
Present.
Commissioner Kuznick?
I'm
muted.
present.
Thank you. Commissioner Marks?
Here.
Vice Chair Wallace?
Out here.
And Chair Alpert?
Here.
All right, thank you.
Would the chair recognize the Assistant City Attorney for further to confirm?
Okay. So, and so, Alicia, I think you have some additional comments for us prior to us moving forward.
I do, Chair Alpert. Thank you. I would now like to request that the chair, the vice chair, and commission members respond to a few questions. If you can hear me well, please indicate in the affirmative by physically raising your hand. I think I see everybody. Yep, I do see everybody. Okay, thank you. All right. If you have been able to hear all previous speakers, including the roll call clearly, please indicate in the affirmative by physically raising your hand. Right, I see. Fine, thank you. And I would next request that any commission members speak up at this time if you have reason to believe, based on facial or voice recognition or otherwise, that any person representing themselves to be a commission member is not truly so. Okay, hearing no comment, the record should reflect that each commission member present is satisfied that every commission member participating by teleconference is who they say they are. And finally, I would like to advise the chair and commission members and the recording secretary that any votes taken during this meeting must be taken by roll call. Thank you.
Thank you, Alicia. Okay, at this time, I'd like to ask the recording secretary to lead the commission in the Pledge of Allegiance.
All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Jen. Okay.
Okay, so item 4, we'll go ahead and move on to public comments or written communication. If you wish to speak under public comment or regarding an agenda item, please click the raise your hand button on your computer or *9 on your telephone to request to speak when public comment is being taken on the agenda item. You will then be unmuted when it is your turn to make your comment for up to 3 minutes. After the allotted time, you will then be remuted. There will be zero tolerance for any profane, offensive, and disruptive remarks or other disorderly conduct that disrupts the orderly conduct of the public meeting. At this time, those who wish to address the Planning Commission on any item not already included in tonight's agenda can do so now. I do have one item, written communication, that I will go ahead and read for the record. Let's see. Okay. It looks like we've received written communication from Mr. Raj Patel, and I will go ahead and read that into the record. Dear Planning Commissioners, my name is Raj Patel. I am a co-owner of 9260 Alcosta Boulevard, Building C, San Ramon. I am also a resident of the city of San Ramon. The Russian School of Mathematics is our contracted lessee with a pending application with the Planning Commission. Below are my comments and requests regarding the above application. There is a recorded maintenance contract dated December 30th, 1987 between the city of San Ramon and the Alcosta Professional Association, which should be upheld and, in our opinion, remains valid. If the maintenance contract is upheld, there would be 173 spaces, which is already field verified by the city, and the required parking for the entire complex per current code will be met, as the whole issue is purely maintenance and not availability of space. We request the Planning Commission to consider separating the issue of the permitting of the application and the parking lot maintenance, as neither the applicant, the Russian School of Mathematics, nor the Building C owner individually have any jurisdiction or right to enforce or interfere in the contract between the city and its counterparty, being the association. The association to date has failed to follow through with the restriping since the Commission's approval of Kumon Center in 2016. Reference staff notes in Resolution 10-16. We request that the Planning Commission give consideration to applicants' permit approval subject to all other tenant-specific requirements and have the approval subject to city enforcement of the maintenance contract dated December 30th, 1987 between the city and the association. Thank you very much for your consideration. Okay.
Okay. So due to the Brown Act, we're unable to respond to any comments raised during public comment, and the appropriate staff members will be in touch with you. Thank you for submitting your comments. Jen, were there any other written comments or requests to speak at this time?
So we have not received any other written comments, but if there is anyone else who wishes to speak on an item not on tonight's agenda, go ahead and press the raise your hand button on your computer screen or *9 on your telephone if you're calling in. And once again, there will be zero tolerance for any profane, offensive, and disruptive remarks or other disorderly conduct that disrupts the orderly conduct of the public meeting.
Since we're all a little new at this, we'll give it a couple of seconds to see if anybody is looking for the *9 or anything on their phone. Okay. Okay.
All
Looks
right.
like there's no additional public comment.
Okay, so we will go ahead and move on. Item 5, additions and revisions. There are none. Item 6 is consent calendar. There are no consent items. Item 7 is approval of minutes. Minutes from the March 3rd, 2020 regular planning commission meeting.
Okay. Okay. Are there any changes, corrections to the minutes of the March 3rd meeting? If there are, signify by raising your hand or showing that you have some changes or corrections. Seeing none, may I have a motion?
I move to approve the minutes from the meeting of March 3rd, 2020.
May I have a second, please?
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved by Commissioner Wallace, seconded by Commissioner Franks.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and conduct a roll call vote. So we have mover is going to be Vice Chair Wallace. Seconder is Commissioner Frank. And we have Commissioner Kuznick, Commissioner Marks, and Chair Alpert. And the item 7.1 passes 5-0.
Sorry, Jen, was it a roll call? You have to go call each commission member and
Okay.
record each of their votes.
Got it. Okay, so we're going to start with the mover. So Vice Chair Wallace.
Aye.
Okay. Planning Commissioner Frank.
Aye.
Commissioner Kuznick.
Aye.
Commissioner Marks.
Aye.
And Chair Alpert.
Aye.
All right, thank you. Item 7.1 passes 5-0. We will go ahead and move on to item 8, continued items after closing of public hearing. There are none. Item 9, continued items, open public hearing. We have none. Item 10, public hearing, new items. Item 10.1, public hearing, Dougherty Valley Annexation number 18, staff report to be presented by Ryan Driscoll, Associate Planner.
Hi, Ryan.
Good evening, Planning Commissioners. Let me share my screen here to get my PowerPoint. Just a minute here. Oops. Let's see. All right, can you see the screen, the PowerPoint?
Yes.
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 All right. Well, good evening, Planning Commissioners. This is an application for a pre-zone application and annexation. It's for the Dougherty Valley Annexation number 18, which includes the Gale Ranch Phase 4 remainder area. This area is actually outside the city limits, but it's in the county Dougherty Valley specific plan area, and it's in the city's sphere of influence. First, a little bit of history on Dougherty Valley. Dougherty Valley was actually approved by Contra Costa County in 1992 for 11,000 units, housing units, with the Dougherty Valley specific plan. Then after the approval, there was a lawsuit between the city and another number of other agencies with the county. And that lawsuit was settled in 1994 with a settlement agreement between the city and the agencies in the county that requires that San Ramon take all actions necessary to provide for annexation of Dougherty Valley. Since 1998, there's actually been 17 annexations of Dougherty Valley. And as the name would imply for this is the 18th, and it happens to be the final annexation of the developed areas of Dougherty Valley. This application does not include the U.S. Army Camp Parks area. So with this application and eventual annexation, this would satisfy the settlement agreement requirement. So this slide shows a map of the Dougherty Valley annexation number 18 area. And before I go through this, I wanted to briefly mention that this application for the pre-zone does not contemplate any proposed development for this area. It only includes development that has been already approved by Contra Costa County through the Dougherty Valley specific plan. And so on this map, you can see a dotted black line. That's the area. It's about 901.65 acres in size. It includes 978 housing units at build out. Now, a number of those homes are already built and occupied, but not all of them are completed. Some are still under construction. Of those 978 housing units, 529 are for single family units and 449 are for multifamily units. There's also a future retail site, which will be adjacent to the multifamily residential area. There's the existing Bella Vista Elementary School, which has been open and occupied for some time now, several years. There's also 3 new parks in this area. There's an existing East Bay Mud water tank site. And then the remaining areas are open space and creek corridors. And then on the very bottom right corner of this map, you can see the U.S. Army Camp Parks area, which is, again, not part of this application. So this slide shows the proposed pre-zone districts for the annexation and pre-zone area. There's about 32.2 acres for mixed use. Mixed use includes the future retail site and the multifamily development area. There's about 18.8 acres for parks, those 3 parks. There's about 94.4 acres for PD or planned development areas. Now, PD includes all single family residential development areas. And staff has included in the resolution tonight for your consideration development regulations for these PD areas, which provide the development regulations for improvements to these homes in this area. The development regulations presented tonight are consistent with the other development regulations that have been previously approved for Dougherty Valley. There's also about 5.2 acres of PS or public semi-public area, and that is entirely within the Bella Vista Elementary School. And then there are 673.7 acres for open space, which is for the hills, creek corridors, and also includes the East Bay Mud water tank site. One last thing I'd like to mention on this slide, there is a fiscal component to this. The city actually does not receive property tax revenues from this area until it has been approved by the local area formation commission as an annexation and also recorded by the State Board of Equalization. So once that has been done, though, later this year, the city could expect to receive approximately $307,000 per fiscal year for all the development in this area once it's built out. So that's why it's important to review this application and start the annexation process in a timely manner so the city can receive the property tax revenues by the next fiscal year. Slide. So cities, the staff's recommendation is to open the public hearing, take testimony, close the public hearing, discuss and deliberate, and adopt resolution number 05-20, recommending the city council approve the pre-zone application in anticipation of annexation pursuant to the Dougherty Valley settlement agreement. And I'll turn it back over to the chair, and I'm available if you have any questions.
Okay. Thank you, Ryan. At this time, what I'd like to do is I'd like to go ahead and open the public comment if we have any speakers that would like to speak on this before we turn it back to the commissioners. I think that would be more efficient tonight. So before I turn it and open the public comment, Jen, perhaps you can go ahead and give instructions for those that have joined us late on the process to follow to if anybody would like to speak tonight.
Sure. Yes, so as a reminder, and for those just joining in who would like to speak on this item, please go ahead and click the raise your hand button on your computer or *9 on your telephone if you are calling in. And you can request to speak when public comment is being taken on the agenda item. When it is your turn to make your comment, you'll be unmuted and you will have 3 minutes to speak. After 3 minutes, your microphone will be remuted. There will be 0 tolerance for any profane, offensive, and disruptive remarks or other disorderly conduct that disrupts the orderly conduct of the meeting.
Okay, so do we have any either written or individuals that would like to speak at this time?
I don't see anyone, but we can give them a few moments to,
Okay.
if they need to locate the button or figure out how to do that.
Okay. 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 Again, we'll give it just a few extra moments just in case somebody's looking for the right way to speak.
Okay, looks like we may have a couple of speakers here. I'm just gonna start at the top. Through the chair, Gary, if it's okay.
Please.
All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and unmute DIB or DIB. Okay, you're unmuted. You may go ahead and talk.
All right, great. Thank you very much. My name is Prasad, and I was trying to find out what is the plan for the mixed use area? You know, is it the apartment complex or is it the retail? The reason I asked this question is, you know, with the retail coming in, there are a few things that we all need to take care, right? But it's also beneficial in terms of taxes. So I was wondering, what is the plan and thought around that?
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you for the question. Okay.
thank you. Okay, Gary, I'll go ahead and I will have our next speaker.
Okay.
We have,
So what, I'll just pause right there. We're going to capture all the questions and then we'll let Ryan address those as well as others when we come back because they're all probably good questions. So we're not ignoring anything and Ryan's taking notes. So, but thank you for your questions. So we'll go ahead and continue with public comment for now. Okay.
okay. So we have Mohammed. You can go ahead and speak now.
Hi, my first question is essentially the same that was the previous question about the retail. I heard some rumors that the retail plan has changed. I wanted a clarification on that, you know, has there any been changes to the retail plan or will we continue to have retail space next to the senior housing? That was my first question. The second question is more general question, and that is essentially what is the downside if the city does not approve this and we do not take this area over? Because my understanding is that there will be ongoing costs associated, like, you know, the police and all the stuff and the firefighting, I think. So has the city done any analysis on that? And is that data available?
Okay, so I went ahead and muted him. I'm assuming, sorry, were you done with your comment?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. And Jen, were there other?
I don't see any other hands raised to speak at this moment. If you'd like, we can give them a couple of moments to, if anyone's still trying to figure it out.
Okay, we'll give it just another moment. Okay. Okay. Okay, give it another moment, you know. Okay.
Okay, I
Seeing-
don't see any more.
Okay, seeing no other public comments, I'll go ahead and close the public comment and we'll begin our deliberations at this point in comments. Before we do, Lauren, Debbie, Ryan, would one of the three of you like to answer the more overarching questions around the retail, which is slightly out of scope of this specific request, just to give the public a little bit of overview about how retail plays into this and doesn't a little bit, first of all, you know, kind of get that out of the way.
Yeah, I can go ahead and start with the discussion. So the Dougherty Valley specific plan is a master plan that was created by the county, and as part of that settlement agreement, we implement those plans and are required to annex in those approved areas per that agreement. So both the mixed use and the retail areas are being designed under the county, and we have the ability to comment but limited control over the actual programming of that. With regard to the notion of a downside to taking on this, again, per the settlement agreement, we're obligated to take this on. And we will receive the property tax revenue and the like for the services that we provide to the area. In terms of modifications to the plans, I'm not familiar with any particular changes, but I don't know if Ryan or Debbie, you have any more updated information.
So at this point, there's been a development plan that's been approved by the county many years ago. And so at this point, there are no plans to construct. It's just been designed. And there's been no formal application filed with the county for the ultimate design of that shopping center, just basically a site plan identifying the total number of retail, office, but a final site plan and architecture still needs to be processed by the county at this point in time.
Thank you, Lauren. Thank you, Debbie. And should you have further questions, you're always welcome to give Lauren or Debbie a phone call, you know. At this time, I'd like to open up to the commissioners. If you have questions for Ryan regarding the application, raise your hands. If you have questions for Ryan at this time?
Yes.
So, Commissioner Marks?
It's not so much my question, but a week or so ago, we received an email, a copy of an email from Jen, from a lady named Luz Gomez regarding wood burning devices and chimneys, etc. And it seems appropriate for the record for the staff to respond to her question as well.
Sure.
Go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah, I believe you're talking about the comment we received about chimneys and
Yes.
whether they should be allowed in the setback areas based on the development regulations that have been proposed.
That's correct.
There are Bay Area Air Quality Management District requirements related to gas burning and wood burning fireplaces. There are requirements that can still be met for them, for the air district, and they could still have a chimney. So staff would prefer to leave the regulations as they've been written, so they're consistent with the other development regulations in the Dougherty Valley. If someone proposes to do a chimney, either with gas or they could still do that and still meet the requirements under the regulations.
Okay. The other part of her question, Ryan, had to do with accessory dwelling units. She wanted to know if it would be important to include an exhibit with current regulations regarding ADUs. So again, for the record, could you please respond?
Yes. Yeah, thank you for reminding me. Yeah, there's also the comment for ADU regulations, and I think it also mentions solar regulations. staff would prefer, well, those requirements are already in the zoning ordinance for ADUs. So we would simply refer to the zoning ordinance for the ADU requirements. They do not need to be in these development regulations. And for solar, those requirements are in the zoning ordinance and also in the state building code. And there's no need to reference those in these development regulations either.
Good. Thank you, Ryan.
Okay. Additional questions, clarifying or otherwise for staff at this time?
Commissioner, or excuse me, Chair Albert, I actually have just one quick question for Ryan. Ryan, what do you have an idea, or can you give us a fix on what number of units have already been built in the area we're looking at pre-zoning?
Yeah, it's a guesstimate. It changes because it is under construction, but I would guess about 3/4 of it has been developed.
Okay. Thank you.
Additional questions? Okay. Comments on the comments at this time? Open it for discussion. Okay. Okay. Turning to the resolution, are there any comments on the resolution at this time? Okay. May I have a motion to approve? We're actually making a resolution to recommend approval to the City Council. And there's a resolution before us tonight to do so.
Mr. Chairman, if it's appropriate, I'll move resolution number 05-20. And Ryan, would you like me to read the title into the record?
I think it'd be appropriate, yes.
Yeah.
A resolution of the Planning Commission of the City of San Ramon recommending that the City Council approve pre-zone 20-610-001 for the property commonly known as Dougherty Valley Annexation Number 18, Gale Ranch Phase 4 Remainder.
Second.
Okay. It's been moved by Commissioner Marks and seconded by Vice Chair Wallace. Okay. Time for a roll call vote.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and do a roll call vote. I will start with the mover, Planning Commissioner Marks,
Aye.
Vice Chair Wallace,
Aye.
Commissioner Frank,
Aye.
Commissioner Kuznick,
Aye.
and Chair Alpert.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, the item 10.1 passes 5-0. We will go ahead and move on to item 11, non-public hearing action items. And there are none. Item 12, study session, Commissioner Liaison Report, and interest items, staff reports.
Okay. I'm going to assume that we've not had any commissioner liaison items, but because we've been not meeting as committees for some time, but if I'm wrong, raise your hand. I'm seeing nobody raising their hand, so I will turn it over to Lauren, who I'm sure is going to give us some exciting coming attractions.
Sure. We have a couple of things that we're scheduling for the virtual world here. So at our next meeting, we are going to be doing a public hearing on the Crow Canyon specific plan, and that'll be the first of three meetings on that. Then we will also, we're gearing up to release the City Walk EIR in May. And so we'll be scheduling hearings in June for that. We also have applications for a fitness center at Crow Canyon Commons, which will come through. And then also we're going to be gearing up for a couple other development applications. Smaller in nature, Camp Bow Wow is coming back. At this time, I'd also mention that we are going to be having a Architectural Review Board meeting on May 14th, and that will be a virtual meeting as well. And The projects that will be under consideration by the Architectural Review Board will be that Camp Bow Wow proposal. It's a new building in the Crow Canyon specific plan area. We also are going to be reviewing the City Center Hotel project across from City Center. And then we also have a application for service station for Costco gas. So that's what's coming up for ARB, and those will all filter into the hearing process through the summer.
Do we have a time on the ARB meeting? Sorry.
It's typically 2 o'clock. I don't think it's changed.
Laura,
Thank
do you
you.
have a draft agenda for the next meeting, or at least what topics are going to be covered?
For the Planning Commission,
Yes.
it'll be the Crow Canyon specific plan.
Okay.
All right. Anything else to add?
Nothing
Okay.
we can think of? No?
All right. Item 13 is adjournment. We will go ahead and adjourn at 7:35 p.m.
Okay. Nice job, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank
Good job,
you.
everybody.